the statements for various funds.
Honorable members, I call upon the chairperson, Special Funds Accounts Committee, or the representative.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg that this House adopts the report of the Special Funds Accounts Committee on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement for the Women Enterprise Fund, Coffee Sherry Advanced Revolving Fund, Strategic Food Reserve Trust Fund, Equalization Fund, Mechanical and Transport Fund, National Research Fund, Youth Enterprise Development Fund, Uwezo Fund, and Civil Servants Housing Fund Scheme Fund, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th June 2023. Honorable Speaker, the committee in this report considered the reports of the Auditor General on the audited financial statements for Women Enterprise Fund for the financial year 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2020-2021. Coffee Sherry Advanced Revolving Fund for the financial year 2019-2020, 2020-2021. Strategic Food Reserve Trust Fund for the financial year 2020-2021. Equalization Fund for the financial year 2020-2021. National Youth Service Mechanical and Transport Fund for the financial year 2020-2021. National Research Fund for the financial year 2019-2020, 2021. Youth Enterprise Development Fund for the financial year 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2020-2021. Uwezo Fund for the financial year 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2020-2021. Civil Servants Housing Scheme Fund for the financial year 2020-2021 and 2021-2022. The committee held a total of 30 meetings where it received evidence from the accounting officers. Engineer Charles Muirigi, Chief Executive Officer, Women Enterprise Fund. Mr. Timothy M. Mirugi, Managing Director, New Kenya Planters Cooperative Union, now referred to as Coffee Sherry Advanced Revolving Fund. Mr. Kelo Harsama, Principal Secretary, State Department for Crop Development and Agricultural Research. Mr. Guyo Buro, Chief Executive Officer, Equalization Fund. Amos N. Gathecha, EBS, Principal Secretary, State Department for Public Service. Professor Dixon Andala, Chief Executive Officer, National Research Fund. Josiah Moriasi, Chief Executive Officer, Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Mr. Peter Lenyapiani, Chief Executive Officer, Uwezo Fund. Mr. Charles Hinga, Principal Secretary, State Department for Housing and Urban Development. The oral and written submission received form the basis of observation, findings, and recommendations of the committee as outlined in the report under each of the audit queries. These are also contained in the minutes and Hansel reports of committee proceedings. General observations and recommendations. During the examination of the audited report, the committee made the following general observations and recommendations which apply across the examined funds. Late submission of documents. The committee observed that most of the audit queries raised by the Auditor General were as a result of the failure by accounting officers to submit the necessary accounting documentation for verification during the audit process as provided in Section 31 of the Public Audit Act 2015. 2. The late submission of accounting documentation was because some funds relied on staff from other ministries, departments, and agencies to file and submit returns on expenditures. The staff are not accountable to the accounting officers of the fund. Uwezo Fund, for instance, depends on the sub-county youth officer for the submission of constituency returns. The officers cover more than one constituency, therefore leading to delays in submission of accounting documentation. Many funds operations are manual, making them take time to prepare and submit the financial documents. The committee recommends that the accounting officers to be put in place mechanisms to ensure that the fund receives accounting documentations on time in compliance with the provisions section 68, 2B and C of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and regulation of 100 of the Public Finance Management National Government Regulation 2015. The accounting officers to ensure timely submission of accounting documentation require for audit verification during the audit as per the provision of the section 31/4 of the Public Act 2015, and the accounting officers to initiate appropriate mechanism to ensure automation of funds process and operations. Number 2, long outstanding receivables. The committee observed that the recoveries of the loans issued by the funds to youth, women, and financial intermediaries are not up to date, with some receivables remaining unrecovered for more than 1 year. The committee recommends that the accounting officers to ensure that all contracts entered into by the fund are lawful and complied with accordance to the section 68/2D of PFM Act 2012, and with 3 months upon adoption of the report, the accounting officers should submit the status report of non-performing loans and recoveries made to the Auditor General for audit verification. Presentation and inaccuracies in the financial statements. The committee observed that the issue of presentation and inaccuracies in the financial statements was noted in almost all the examined audit reports, with cases of wrong classifications of assets and expenditures, unexplained and reconciled variance, and non-compliance to the format prescribed by Public Sector Accounting Standard Board, amongst others. The committee recommends that the accounting officers ensure that all applicable accounting and financial control systems, standard, laws, and procedures are followed in the preparation of the financial statement in compliance with the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and in accordance with the standards prescribed by the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board as per regulations of 101/4 of the Public Finance Management National Government Regulation 2012. Unresolved prior matters. The committee observed that the prior year audit issues remained unresolved at the end of the financial year against requirements of the section 68(21) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, which requires the accounting officer to take appropriate measures to resolve any issue arising from audit which may remain outstanding. The committee also observed that some accounting officers do not disclose the progress on the follow-up of auditor recommendations in the financial statement as required by Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. The committee recommends that within 3 months upon the adoption of this report, the accounting officer should take appropriate measures to resolve the outstanding prior audit issues as required by section 68(2)(1) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and submit the necessary documentation to the Auditor General for audit verification. The accounting officer ensures that all applicable accounting and financial control systems, standard, laws, procedures are followed in the preparation of the financial statement in compliance with the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and in accordance with the standard prescribed by the Public Sector Accounting Standard Board as per Regulation 101(4) of the Public Finance Management National Government Regulation 2012. Weak internal control systems. The committee observed that there were weaknesses in the internal control systems resulting in inadequate documentation, accounting and reconciliation of accounting records, as well as filing of expenditure returns, deficiency in documentation, authorization, approval, and recovery of loans. The committee recommends that The accounting officers ensure that all applicable accounting and financial control systems, standards, laws, procedures are followed in the preparation of the financial statement in compliance with the Public Finance Management Act 2012 in accordance with the standard prescribed by the Public Sector Accounting Standard Board as per Regulation 101(4) of the Public Finance Management National Government Regulations 2012. Grounded assets. The committee observed that the Mechanical and Transport Fund has 7 motor vehicles that have been grounded for a long time due to various mechanical reasons, and the Youth Enterprise Development Fund has 8 motor vehicles and 105 motorcycles that have been grounded due to various mechanical reasons, and 907 outdated hatcheries. The committee recommends that the accounting officers seek approval to dispose the mentioned assets in accordance with the provision of Public Procurement Asset Disposal Act 2015 and its regulations within 3 months upon the adoption of this report. The accounting officers to ensure there are proper control system to eliminate theft, losses, wastage, and misuse of fund assets in compliance with Regulations 139 of the Public Finance Management National Government Regulations 2012. The specific audit issues raised in 9 funds for respective funds years are contained in the report. Honorable Speaker, I thank the committee for the period they took and their time and the energy and their resource to help our committee deliver this report in good time in almost 100% accuracy. I also recommend and appreciate the assistance given by the Honorable Speaker at all periods when we could not hold our meetings, and we had to request the House to allow us to be out of the House to hold this meeting so that we could prepare our report in good time. I also appreciate our team, the clerk, the department that deals with this fund. I appreciate their tireless job working till late hours and even over the weekends to make sure that our report reach the required standard of this House. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I request Honorable Catherine Omanya to second the motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Before you second, I would like to ask her to go back to her feet so that you may move the motion. You move and then you request her to second.
I request that we move the motion.
Okay, we are learning. Eh? You are still learning.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the motion.
Would you like to request the seconder?
Okay. Honorable Speaker, thank you. I request Honorable Catherine Omanyo to second the motion.
Thank you very much. That record is extremely important for the House. Honorable Catherine Omanyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to second this report that I personally have been part of it. And before I sit down, there are some more observations that we actually observed. And we realized that there were many similar funds with same vision, same mission, facing same challenges, and yet there is a duplicate of the strategies that have failed being repeated over and over again. And then the accounting officers seemed to be overwhelmed. Yes, many of the institutions that had audit queries, you would see they lacked enough staff. You would find a CEO is the driver, is the secretary, and is helping the accountant whenever they come to sit with us in the committee. Then you ask what is going on, who is the accountant here, and they would like say, we actually do not have A, B, C, D, which was quite unfortunate. We also realized that the long bureaucracy that is archaic. It's actually Neanderthal in our world, looking into our age in Kenya, that you have to go through a long process for anything to happen, making some of the resources, public resources, going into waste, because there are so many stages that anybody taking over any office has to undergo for them to save a situation. For example, like GK vehicles. There are some of these GK vehicles where if you looked at when the time it was taken to the garage, if somebody would have just stepped in within a week, that GK vehicle could have been salvaged. But because it can take between 6 months to 1 year or forever, and nobody seems to care, and other newer vehicles are bought, the other older one is forgotten about, this